Man, what it do, man? Hey, so y'all seen that video yesterday that I did on the two women getting kidnapped in Memphis? Remember, it was the woman and the child, right? And then it was the woman named Eliza Fletcher. And that's who we're going to talk about today. That's what we're going to talk about because at the time of that video, it was still relatively early. But now it's more details is coming out. This case is getting strange. Strange, man. So we're going to dive into this, man. And there's so much to talk about with this particular case. Even the alleged abductor. It's a lot going on with him. He got a shady past. Real shady past. And I'm going to tie that into something that I always say. And a lot of people might not agree with. But the facts is the facts. So make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. And we're going to get the ball rolling.
Some breaking news this morning. Police in Memphis say they have made an arrest now in connection with the abduction of a local kindergarten teacher. A 38-year-old man named Cleotha ABSTON was charged with the especially aggravated kidnapping of 34-year-old Eliza Fletcher, who remains missing. This surveillance video shows the moment right before the mother of two was abducted while jogging on Friday. Fletcher was running near the University of Memphis when she was forced into a dark SUV. Investigators continue their search this morning.
All right, so as you see, they got a man arrested. Cleotha is his name. Wild name, but that's his name. And this shit is crazy, yo. Like, you heard him say that he was arrested in 2000 for a kidnapping of a prominent Memphis attorney. Caught 24 years and 11 years for that. But I'm going to get to that later on. So the question is, who's this billionaire Harris? Is what they call it. So she is related to the Orgill family. Orgill family. Wealthy family. Ranked 143rd on Forbes list when it comes to private hardware companies. 3.2 billion net worth. So when I started to look into them, right, I Wikipedia'd them on my phone. I tried to send it to my computer. You know how I do. I like to read it on the screen and so y'all can, you know what I mean, look through it with me so you know I ain't capping with my information. Or bluffing, as we say in Baltimore. But for some reason, when I did that, my computer, it didn't come up on the computer. Say content not found. So look, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna get into the to this billionaire, man. Joseph Orgill. Orgill Incorporated. This is their Wikipedia page. Is an American independent hardware distributor with headquarters in Collierville, Tennessee. It is the world's largest independently owned hardlines distributor. Founded in Memphis, Tennessee in 1847. It's a long time. So we dealing with decades of money. Most likely came from slavery when you dealing with those times, but we ain't even gonna get into that. Orgill was Memphis' oldest operating private business before relocated to nearby Collierville in recent years. It was ranked in the 143rd place on Forbes list of American largest private companies in 2021, with the revenues of $2.6 billion in 2019, surpassing $3 billion in 2020. So This is a very high profile case. Now, the family put out a $50,000 reward. I ain't gonna lie, that's a little light to me. If my family is worth 3 point whatever billion, $3 billion, and my granddaughter or great granddaughter was kidnapped, I'm dropping the bag. Look, I got $1 million. Flat out. $1 million gonna get it back. But they didn't do that. I ain't saying it had anything to do with it. I'm just saying, from my observation, I think that's strange. Now, when they found the guy that they ultimately arrested, Cleotha, they didn't find the girl. But the details of the abduction is crazy. Missing Memphis teacher Eliza Fletcher was forced into a black SUV in a violent manner, and a pair of sandals left at the scene helped cops locate her alleged abductor, according to police documents obtained by the Post Sunday. Fletcher, 34, was abducted on her regular 4 a.m. job Friday after stalked by Cleotha ABSTON, who waited for her to run past him. The police affidavit alleged she had run from her home in a fancy Central Gardens neighborhood to a nice area near the University of Memphis campus. Court records show ABSTON, 38, is a previously convicted kidnapper. He pled guilty to especially aggravated kidnapping and robbery in 2001. He was sentenced to 24 years and 11 years in prison, respectively. Although it's unclear how long he remained incarcerated and if he served his sentence concurrently, Tennessee authorities obtained surveillance footage of the kidnapping, which allegedly showed ABSTON running aggressively toward the victim, and then forced victim Eliza Fletcher into the passenger side of the vehicle, the document says. During the abduction, there appeared to be a struggle, according to the affidavit, which cited noticeable damage to the back passenger taillight area of the GMC Terrain. Police said after Fletcher, who is still missing, was forced into a black SUV, the vehicle then sat in the parking lot with the victim inside for approximately 4 minutes before it drove off. So, he stalked this woman. Damn, my bad, man. This acid reflex be fucking me up. He stalked this woman. 4 o'clock in the morning on her job. It was details of a struggle. Back tail light out. Then the car sits for 4 minutes before it pulls off. 4 minutes. That's a long time to be sitting. Now, a neighbor seen Cleotha washing his car out that next morning. Seemed a little suspect. Seemed a little strange, a bit odd. Think they might have been the one that tipped the police off. But there's no Eliza Fletcher. So is this a case where he's kidnapping her and trying to hold her for ransom? Or was this just a murder? That's what we're trying to figure out. And if it is a murder, why would this man, who just was locked up for 21 years, he just came home 2020. So why would this man come home and murder this woman? And how does a dude that been locked up for that long even know about this woman? Or know about this family? So we're going to go back to 2020, man. Because you heard he got locked up for kidnapping of the attorney, right? But it didn't give details. So we're going to go back to 2020. I mean, not 2020. We're going to go back to the year 2000. Where Cleotha was 16 years old. 16 months after he was kidnapped at gunpoint and thrown into the trunk of his car. Attorney Kemper Duran watched with some regret last week as 2 juveniles involved in the case were given prison sentences. Duran was walking to his car around 2 a.m. on May 25, 2000, after attending a party on Beale Street, when a lone gunman walked up behind him, took his wallet, and forced him into the trunk. The abductor, Cleotha ABSTON, drove around and picked up friends. Then, after about 2 hours, escorted Duran to a MAPCO station to withdraw money from an ATM. A uniformed Memphis Housing Authority officer entered. Duran yelled that he had been kidnapped, and the kidnappers ran away. On Monday, ABSTON pleaded guilty just before he was scheduled to go to trial and was sentenced to 20 years in prison without parole. He had earlier turned down the offer of 15 years on the same charge, but according to Duran, told the court he did not want to sign his name, giving himself that time. ABSTON had a long juvenile record of theft and aggravated assault. It was the sentencing of the second defendant that gave Duran pause. Marquette Cobbins was 17 at the time of the incident. He was one of the friends picked up by ABSTON after he kidnapped Duran. His prior court record consisted of a truancy violation and disorderly conduct. He was literally sitting on a porch when ABSTON came by, says Duran. Any kid who could grow up where he did and have only 2 minuscule run-ins, I figure is probably decent material. Duran wrote a letter to District Attorney Bill Gibbons urging probation for Cobbins if he would submit to conditions including supervision by a private probation service, high school graduation, repaying Duran $195 for the money in his wallet, and towing charges for his car, and undergoing a mentoring program. The proposal was turned down, and Cobbins pled guilty to aiding the kidnapping. He was sentenced to 7.5 years in prison, and he will be eligible for parole in 18 months. Duran says he feels bad about that, and also dismayed at the pace of justice. Cleotha and ABSTON spent 16 months in jail before today, Duran says. Perhaps this is the reason why the jail was overcrowded. So as you can see, Cleotha has a history of kidnappings. Started off at the age of 12. He got charges dating back to when he was 12 years old, man. Sound like to me he grew up fucked up. Probably one of them kids that never had a chance. But we're not excusing what he did now, because he need to pay for that. And if you look at this motherfucking mugshot, he look comfortable. Look like he right where he want to be. But I always say, you can't send them juveniles to prison for that many years and expect them to come home as a prominent member of society. It's not going to happen. So from 16 to what? 36? 37? Because he's 38 now. He spent all that time in prison. Against the wishes of the victim. The victim said it didn't feel right. Especially when it came down to the co-defendant. Because what you didn't just hear within that article is that he picked the co-defendant up after he did. Cleotha did this on his own. And he picked the co-defendant up. So while the attorney is in the car, he hear the co-defendant telling him, yo, what are you doing? You tripping. Let this man go. So when it came time for sentencing, the attorney knew this. And he wanted him to get some type of leniency because at the end of the day, he didn't commit the robbery. Judge still sentenced him to 7.5 years. That's why, like I said, it's so much to talk about with this case. From why did he do this? Was this a kidnapping or a murder? Was it a planned hit? And if it was, for what? Because you know they always say the streets this, the streets that, killing in the streets. But they fail to mention the killing and the crime that goes on the upper level, because it exists. We seen it with the attorney, upstate New York. Dude knocked on her door in a FedEx truck. She was working on the Epstein case. Dude knocked on the door in a FedEx truck. Her son answers the door. Her son and his father. Dude shoots the father, runs off. Why did he do that? Because if people don't know about, like, let me just say this real brief. With that situation, once a judge becomes a victim of a crime, they can no longer be partial. Understand what I'm saying? Which means they got to get removed off the case. But when you're dealing with the Orgill family, what was they involved in? Could this be a situation where, like I said, the man been locked up for 21 years? Could he have heard that name in there? Because it happens. Because at this point, he a lifelong jailbird. All he knows is the prison. So he ain't really tripping too much about being on the streets. And when you in them penitentiaries, word travels. Hey, yo, it's this billionaire family, man. Shit like that happen. That's a possibility. Or it could be something more sinister. Could be something more sinister. But when you dealing with locking these juveniles up, man, this is what you get when they come home. They go back to what they know. Now, back in the day, they could have saved that. They could have saved this boy. When he was a boy, as a man, he gone. He spent way too much time in there. He is gone. But if they would have made the right decision for him as a boy, none of this shit probably would have never happened. If it was a situation where he just heard through the grapevine that it was billionaires in their city or in their town. Shit, it might have never happened if it was a planned hit. Because at this point, after he committed that first crime, if they would have gave him the proper assistance, the proper help that he needed, his mind probably wouldn't even been focusing on that type of shit no more. At least it wouldn't have been him. Let me know how y'all feel about this shit in the comments, man. What this shit was all about, man. What was it all about? How y'all feel about this man coming home after 21 years on a kidnapping charge? When he was locked up since 16 years old. Coming home, 2 years. Year and a half. Commit another one. But this time, we still don't know. It could be a murder. That's what it looked like to me, if I'm being honest. I hope that's not the case. I hope it's just a ransom situation and they pay the ransom or however it may go. And she, you know what I mean, she come back home and just got to deal with the trauma that come with it. But we'll see. Let me know in the comments, man. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. I'm out.
Hey, Baltimore, bitch, I'm rapping Baltimore. Young street nigga, dope boy, I come from Baltimore. Young niggas be shining on them dirt bikes, we be wildin', selling scramble all the houses. About to hit the block, you know it's trapping time. Gotta watch what I say, cause they might tap the line.